Hi, Tim from Fair Play now, and I've got another one for you today. And this is just because I've seen an email come into my inbox just now from this guy called Simon Dolan of Keep Britain Free. If you don't know who Simon Dolan is, he's this guy who's been trying to get a judicial review into sort of trying to make the lockdowns illegal and trying to stop the government doing lockdowns ever again. And really it's kind of our last line of defence against sort of authoritarian rule in this country. And what it's supposed to do is, you can take, if you don't like what the government's doing and you don't think Parliament's doing a good enough job, or you think Parliament's been sort of circumvented by the government, anyone, even you and me, I think any citizen can sort of order or try and get a judicial review going. I know, okay, you're going to have some money for all the legal processes, but I think this Simon Dolan's a millionaire, and what he's been trying to do is, and he's been trying to do this for months and months and months, trying to get the Supreme Court to look at the lockdown measures and try and get lockdowns made illegal, basically. And I signed up to his newsletter and to Keep Britain Free some months ago, so I get the emails on the updates. The government have been doing their best to delay the court hearing, the judicial review. And I've got this email through from Simon Dolan today, and I'll just read it out to you. Just read the first 4 or 5 paragraphs, not the whole thing, because it's it's quite long, but let's just read out the first little bit. Dear supporter, I'm extremely disappointed to let you know that this week the Supreme Court has decided to refuse to hear our appeal relating to a judicial review into lockdown. The Supreme Court's decision means that unelected judges have set a precedent which now makes it all but impossible to challenge the government's use of the Public Health Act 1984 to trample over civil liberties and to emasculate Parliament in the process. By not allowing the appeal to go ahead, this puts a protective shield around ministers and gives them a free run to lock up people in their homes using the Act without having to worry anymore that their actions in using the Act like this are illegal. This is a chilling development which should not be underestimated. I quite agree with that. The government's ruthless use of the 1984 Act is an effective destruction of the democratic process on behalf of the public around the lockdowns we have suffered, and that any that might happen again in the future. Although lately there has been some pushback from MPs, the decision of the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeal gives the government more power than it should rightly have. And we all know how much they abuse that power, don't we? It threatens even to rip up the rights protected by the Magna Carta. The basic premise of you being free, unless it is specifically unlawful, is now effectively being changed, meaning that you now have to have the government's permission to do literally anything. This goes against 800 plus years of legal principle. Now, and that is truly scary. And to sort of just sum up, basically the government now legally have the right to just run roughshod all over our civil liberties, to do whatever they want with no kind of recourse into their actions, any sort of threat of any kind of sort of punishment or whatever. They can just do what they like. And it's all because of this Public Health Act of 1984, which kind of gives them the power to deal with this sort of lockdown stuff, all in the name of protecting us from pandemics and epidemics and all the rest of it. But who's to say they just won't keep this, the Public Health Act powers going forever? They could easily pull out the next epidemic, the next pandemic. Oh yeah, there's just something a bit dodgy here in China. There's something a bit sort of dicey over there in, I don't know, South America. Yeah, we need to keep the country in lockdown to protect ourselves, and protect everybody. And yeah, this 1984 Public Health Act is truly, truly frightening. And I think really you've got to ask yourselves, would I rather have my freedoms, even if it means I'm dead by the time I'm 50, because I might have caught some horrible disease that's been spreading like a pandemic through the world, or do I want to live to 100 potentially, knowing that I'm sort of fully protected by the government against these sort of pandemics? And I don't know about you, but I definitely fall into the first category. I'd rather be free, even if it sort of kills me. But unfortunately, I think there's far, far too many people in this country who would rather be safe than being free. And as far as this Public Health Act 1984 is concerned, really that is the same as the Enabling Act. Now, if you know your history, you know what the Enabling Act is. It was something that was brought in, I think it was in 1933 in Germany. And what most people, or a lot of people, don't realise is that when Hitler first came to power in Germany in 1933, he wasn't actually a dictator, fully in charge of the country. He was really like prime minister in a democratic system still at that point. But just literally a month into his sort of time in office, or a month or two, there was something called the Reichstag fire, which is their parliament. It was set on fire, probably by the Nazis themselves, although they blamed it on the communists. But of course they declared it as kind of a national emergency. So yeah, what are we living through now? So-called national emergency. So you can see the parallels here in history, can't you? And what old Hitler did, he kind of used that as an excuse to bring in the Enabling Act, which just made him dictator, basically, gave him sort of full reign, full power, and sort of he was then able to dissolve Parliament and bring in totalitarian powers. And I really think this Public Health Act 1984 is our Enabling Act. So this failure of Dolan's judicial review should just be deeply, deeply worrying to anyone who loves democracy and freedom. Tim from Fair Play Now. Thanks for watching.